We got a new Sorcerer Supreme for the Marvel Comics universe, the 616 in Strange #1 from Jed McKay and Marcelo Ferreira. This is coming on the heels of Death of Doctor Strange miniseries, also from Jed McKay. I've been a huge fan of Jed McKay's Moon Knight. Death of Doctor Strange, I was a little bit indifferent. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought the tie-ins were kind of bad, but the main series wasn't terrible or anything to get overly excited about. Nothing like his Taskmaster miniseries, which was really, really bad. When I heard he was writing Moon Knight after that, I thought this might not go well. But I am turning, at least my opinion of Jed McKay as a writer at Marvel Comics is turning since his Moon Knight series came out. Death of Doctor Strange, perfectly fine. We get this Strange #1, the ascension of Clea Strange, Doctor Strange's estranged wife, coming back under the picture. Of course, she was the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, is now the Sorcerer Supreme of the 616. This issue is essentially tasked with setting up the story. What is her motivation? What's she going to do? Kind of demonstrate some of her power sets. In a lot of those aspects, I think the story actually works really well, but it is held back by a few things that I get. I understand what you're getting at, Jed McKay, but I think you might have gotten in your own way. There's far too much telling and not enough showing in certain aspects of this. Also, the characterization on a few characters around Clea, ascending up to the Sorcerer Supreme, I think really holds the character back and distracts from what you're supposed to be getting out of the story. I'm going to get to that stuff here in a few moments. The real problem for Strange #1 is they want you to know that Clea Strange is the new Sorcerer Supreme. The very first line out of this character's mouth is, "I am the Sorcerer Supreme of this world." And in the following pages, she refers to herself, or Wong refers to her, or someone else refers to her as the Sorcerer Supreme at least a dozen times, perhaps more than that. I understand that you were trying to reiterate and hash into the reader that this is the new Sorcerer Supreme. But when you do it over and over and over like that, it's really repetitive. It actually becomes very off-putting. You notice it a lot. And it feels like they're trying to shoehorn the character into the title rather than letting the character own the mantle. And I do think that's one of the aspects of this particular story that really lets the character of Clea down. I don't know that being the ex-wife or estranged wife of Stephen Strange entitles you to the position. I don't think that's how it works. But in this comic, that's kind of how they're doing it. And they do the character no service by continuously over and over and over referring to the character as Sorcerer Supreme. There's another thing that I think distracts from the story, and it's kind of one of the opening moments. Dr. Doom shows up on Bleecker Street because, as you would imagine, Dr. Doom believes he has a claim to the title of Sorcerer Supreme of 616. We have certainly seen it hinted at, and more than that, within Marvel Comics universe, that Dr. Doom would be a logical and rightful successor to Stephen Strange should he fall. There's nothing wrong with bringing these two characters into conflict with each other early on. In fact, it's probably really smart because people are going to be going, where's Dr. Doom? Why isn't he saying that I should be the Sorcerer Supreme? But it's the way they go about it. It's the interaction between the two characters and really the dressing down of Dr. Doom. And this isn't just a Strange #1 problem. This is kind of a bit of a Marvel problem. But you take away the gravity of the character when you let Clea just sass her way through a conversation, dress Dr. Doom down, and tell him to go back to Latveria and cry some more. There's a way to do this and to earn the respect of Dr. Doom for Clea, even slightly so in this moment, and walk away and say, we're not done with this. But the way they go about it makes Doom look stupid, and in my opinion, defines down the character of Victor Von Doom, while also concurrently defining down the importance and the role of the Sorcerer Supreme. Yes, he wants it, but he's being a whiny baby about it. He lets this new Sorcerer Supreme just sass him all over the place and tells him to get the hell out of there, and it just doesn't work. They're trying to elevate Clea as Sorcerer Supreme by essentially shutting Doom down, but they don't do it in a logical manner that befits a character of the status, the threat that is Victor Von Doom. And I do think that particularly is a mistake. Not these two characters interacting and Victor Von Doom trying to lay claim to the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, because it would make sense for him, but the way they go about him leaving and being basically a whiny baby about it. I just do not think that works. Another thing that I found distracting about this was Wong's demeanor and character in response to the death of Stephen Strange. Obviously, this would be a very traumatic experience for Wong. He's been in service to Stephen Strange for a very long time. He essentially was raised and taught to be at the service of the Sorcerer Supreme. This would be an enormous personal loss for Wong, making him a lush, like an alcoholic who's trying to drink his problems away. I personally don't feel really fits the character that we know as Wong. Stephen Strange has certainly died a couple of times within the Marvel Comics universe. Depending on if you're looking at some of these other more Elseworld type stories, it would go into a handful of times. And he's never reacted like this. There have been a ton of heroes that Wong would have been close to within the Marvel 616. He's never reacted like this. And Wong kind of turning to the bottle and trying to drink his sorrows away instead of coming up with a plan to bring Stephen Strange back distracts from ultimately what Jed McKay is trying to do here. And even at one point, this was a bit meta, I guess, Clea explains to him, we're going to bring Stephen Strange back. That's her play. That's what this miniseries is. Clea Strange doing everything that she can to resurrect, essentially, Stephen Strange. And she explains to Wong, she's like, how many Avengers wearing capes with superpowers have you seen die during your lifetime? All of them? And they're all still walking the earth. Stephen's going to come back, whether I do it or not. We're just not going to wait for him to naturally come back within the Marvel 616 universe. We're going to, be more proactive about it. And you're like, yeah, why are you? I mean, you would think that Wong would see it through that lens as well. I get that his best friend essentially just died, but he's been around a lot of death as he's been by the side of Stephen Strange throughout his life and his career as a superhero. And he's certainly witnessed Stephen Strange in person use magic to resurrect people and bring them back and stuff like that. I don't understand why he would feel so hopeless when he's seen so many things during his life that would absolutely tell him not only can Stephen Strange return, but it's likely to happen, and you could probably play a part in that. When Jed McKay decides to elevate the character Clea into the Sorcerer Supreme mantle role within the 616, I think it's pretty effective. What he's not telling and he is strictly showing when they go to the Shrouded Bazaar. I've never really seen these villains before. It was like an army of unknown soldiers or something that were attacking the bazaar. Eventually, someone next to her eats it. She gets some blood on her, and she starts using her power as the Sorcerer Supreme. Obviously, she's been the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension for quite some time, so she's a little less restrained with the lethal aspects of the magic powers that she has. I do like that McKay demonstrates the differences between Clea and Stephen Strange. Their power levels are a little bit different. The way they wield them are a little bit different. And the fact that she's willing to go out there and kill a bunch of people and stuff like that certainly differentiates her from the character. So I believe what Jed McKay is demonstrating, the power of this character and why they would make a good choice as the Sorcerer Supreme, just from a power level, not really from a moralistic level. I think it works on that level. And why she probably shouldn't remain the Sorcerer Supreme of the 616, and probably why Doctor Doom shouldn't do it, that it probably should be Stephen Strange. They need to bring him back. I think it works. And I also believe that the stated mission of the character in the book is actually to bring Stephen Strange back. Obviously, it's not going to be that easy. Probably foreshadows the end of the story a little too clearly as to where Jed McKay is taking it, that we will take some of the mystery of what this character is going to do in the 616 as the Sorcerer Supreme away. So I don't think that was completely successful, but there are a lot of elements in here that absolutely work. One thing I don't like, and I don't know that this is specifically a Clea Strange #1 issue, because I definitely remember this character drinking wine in the past. I don't know that she was always drinking wine, but it feels like the wine ant trope is too pervasive, not in comic books, but just in entertainment in general. Listen, I like Game of Thrones. I like Cersei Lannister. I like that every time that she was conniving and scheming, she always had a glass of wine in her hand and whatever. But I don't think that was supposed to be the ultimate blueprint for any type of woman that has power. The wine ant trope is absolutely overused in entertainment in general. I am getting through the 4th season of Ozark. I've seen enough there. Perhaps I've just seen it too much in entertainment for this not to stand out to me, but of course, because she's a little bit of an older character that's female, that has some power, she must be drinking wine anytime that she's coming up with a plan. I wish they would stop this one, but I don't know that this actually detracts from the story, but that's just something that also stands out to me. Definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? I think Strange #1 is successful when it is showing you the character's ascension into the Sorcerer Supreme of the 616. But there's far too much telling. Every other page, they're telling you that this character is the Sorcerer Supreme. that was laid on far too thick. The dressing down of Doctor Doom does nothing to elevate the character of Clea Strange. If anything, it makes the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme seem less important. I don't think Wong would turn to alcohol just because he had some loss in his life. Obviously, Stephen Strange is important, but I felt that was distracting as well. But there's some cool stuff going on. We'll see where this goes. But I do think kind of telling people the absolute end game, bringing Stephen Strange back from the dead being the purpose of the character. Hey, listen, we all want Stephen Strange back, but maybe we could have gotten there in a more of a roundabout way rather than a direct line right to where everybody was going. I mean, the movie's coming out. Stephen Strange is going to be back in the Marvel Universe before you know it, but this comic book certainly works in some instances, but the tell not show thing never works for any of these mantle swaps, ever. Speaking of that, Marvel is not the only publisher that are doing mantle swaps right now. Recently, DC Comics are trying to elevate Jackson Hyde into the full role of Aquaman. This mantle swap is less successful for a few other reasons, but if you haven't seen this one, mantle swaps are hard. DC and Marvel are both having a hard time. Definitely check this one out and see what happened with Aquaman.